Hello and welcome to Follow the Boat's daily special. We've been running these all week outside of our normal vlogs. So if you've just stumbled across us, we're Liz and Jamie and we do a weekly travel vlog of our adventures aboard our boat. So hit that subscribe button and you'll get notified when we send out more of these daily episodes and also when we put out our weeklies.
Yeah.
So on to today's topic.
Yeah, so quite often we'll take a question that's been asked of us and expand on it. And this one comes from William Wallace on Patreon, who says, do you often feel like the locals just see you as tourists? I think that's a really interesting question.
I think it's one of the best questions we've ever had. It's an interesting subject. We've been living on the boat for over 10 years now, and we've spent many years in some countries. I mean, in India, for 3 years.
Yeah.
We've been in this area for 3 years.
Turkey for nearly 3 years, that area.
And I think it's an easy trap to fall into, to believe that because you've been there for a long time, that you are more of a local than you are a tourist.
Yeah. And the question is, do people think of you as tourists or locals, or what exactly do they think of you? I think...
You mean the local? What are the local people?
Yeah, what they think of us.
Yeah.
Personally, I think bottom line, they see us as tourists and they see us as cash cows, as a way of making money. And this might come to us through smiles or it might come to us through hard business. But pretty much most people, I believe. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, it's a bit like being back at home in business. You work for a company or you work for yourself, and everyone that you deal with during the day is either going to be someone buying your services or product or selling you a product or service. But in between all that, you may make some friends.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, what happens when you move around these countries. As a tourist, if you do spend long enough, you do start to get to know some of the local people.
Yeah, you do.
And become, you form good, strong...
You do. I think they're a handful, probably, over the years that we could count as friends. In this area, obviously, we spent a whole year in one area, and that was the shipyard at PSS in Satoon, which isn't a particularly touristy area, to be honest with you. So, but it's the shipyard's all about rebuilding and maintenance on yachts, so they're used to seeing us there. I think we had layers of friendship there.
Yes, I remember one of our workers who didn't speak any English moved on to another boat after he finished working on ours, and the owner of that boat one evening let on that this guy had said to him, this is the local worker, had said to the yacht owner, my job as a worker here is to get as much money out of you as possible.
As I can.
And of course he said it with a big smile, and it was kind of a joke, but he was being serious because that's exactly what he was doing. He was working for foreigners like us, making his living, but ultimately that's how he saw us. He just saw us as someone that is providing him work.
And a similar thing in India, we were told, but you're foreign and you have lots of money, and we would like some of that money. They're very upfront about it. They're very straightforward about it. Going back to the boatyard, what I would say is that we took away from that two good friends, who are Gia and Julie, also Dan and May, friends of theirs. Those four people we would classify as friends. I'm not talking about people like Bobby, who's also a good friend, who ran the pizza place there, because he's a local. He's married to a local. He's got children, so I suppose he's a local in some ways. But he's Brit. So they were definitely friends, and they're people we'll be in touch with for a long time, I hope. The workers, the main problem, and I think this is the crux of the problem where you don't ever become anything other than the tourist, is the language barrier.
Definitely. It comes down to the language. Again, we know lots of expats who live in this area in Southeast Asia who may have been living here for years, some of whom are married to local people and some of whom actually have children, so mixed race children. For those that speak the local language, I think they will always be far more integrated into the local community. You mentioned Bobby, for example. He's a
Great
Scouser,
example.
He's an English guy from Liverpool, but married a local girl and has three children now. I forget. Sorry, Bobby. But
They've got two and they've got one.
and yeah. So the point is that Bobby obviously speaks Thai, and his wife also speaks English, and they have a very interesting and full and great relationship. But their children also are bilingual as well.
Yeah.
So for people like that, they have truly integrated themselves into the local culture in a way that I don't think Liz and I ever could do.
No.
I mean, I took Turkish lessons when we were in Turkey.
Turkey was a little easier because it's close. It's sort of on the edge of Europe, wasn't it? So I think possibly culturally we were a bit closer. Also, Turkish is easier to learn.
Yes.
It's not that tonal language that you get here.
Might be something worth considering, learning Bahasa for, going down to Indo to maybe pick up some basic Bahasa words.
Yeah, we should do.
But I think even if we can just get around and ask for, things in the market or where things are with the local people, we're still only going to be tourists who can speak a little bit of the local language.
Yeah. And we're not saying, by the way, that all locals are just trying to milk you for everything they can. Then by any means. We've had long conversations, us in English, the other person in their language, fueled with a couple of beers, which helps. And we've managed to communicate and laugh and smile and become great friends.
We've spent whole evenings with people that we can't actually
day.
communicate with. And I guess if you could speak their language, or if they could speak yours, then you probably would, you'd get on and stay in touch. But those moments are definitely to be treasured when you spend a whole evening with people who you cannot communicate with verbally, but have a great time
and
with.
you can still communicate. Your face, your expressions and all that sort of thing does make a difference. So I don't know, William, I think it's really interesting. I think a number of people who think that they are not regarded as tourists might be quite surprised to learn that they actually are. I don't think we're in any doubt that we are pretty much tourists. If we go to somewhere like the States or NZ or Oz or somewhere like that, it'll be much easier and quicker to not be tourists any longer, simply because of the language.
Yeah, interestingly, when we were in Kerala in South India, the common language there was English. Okay, they spoke Malayalam, which is their local language, but only to Keralans. So most of them did communicate in English. So we were actually able to communicate very easily.
Yeah, all around India.
But culturally, there was a huge difference. Yeah. And I still don't think, even after 3 years, we really scratched beyond the surface of those cultural differences, irrespective of the fact that we could speak the same language.
We were speaking the same language. The interesting thing, I don't think we've said this yet, is that the longer you stay somewhere, the more the shine comes off a place, and you start to realise all the funny little stories that are going on, all the bits of gossip, what he's up to, and what she's done, and then you get a little bit more into politics, and it suddenly starts to feel a bit more like you are a part of the community and you're learning a lot more about the community, but it takes the shine off it.
Well, a good example is someone who I sailed with across the Atlantic. When I met Liz in Antigua, we went ashore, the crew, that is myself and the crew on this boat, and we found somewhere to stay, and we lived there for 3 or 4 weeks. I then continued south on my travels. Liz went back to the UK, but this guy stayed on in Antigua. Liz and I then went back 3 months later for a little holiday to Antigua, and this guy was still there. And I remember so clearly the disappointment in his voice, having lost exactly what you're talking about, lost that charm and the shine, and had got to know the local politics. He got to know who the drug dealers were. His house was broken into, blah 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 blah. Suddenly he's a local. He's no longer a tourist. He's working there. He's obviously speaking the same language. He's got to know the local politics, and he is no longer a tourist. So you know, perhaps sometimes it's better just to stay being
I was
a
about
tourist.
to say that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a tourist.
Nope.
Absolutely nothing wrong. We're under no illusions. We're tourists. Every time we go to a new country, we're tourists. Every time we go to new island in Thailand or wherever we go, we're definitely tourists. We try to assimilate into that culture as much as we can by perhaps the way we dress, the manner in which we speak to people. But we're visitors in their country, and it's not really going to change.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Really, that's a great question. Love that question. Please let us know what you think in the comments down below underneath this video clip. We'd love to know what you think. What are your thoughts? Are you a tourist? Do you consider yourself to be a tourist? Maybe you're lucky that you can speak lots of languages and find it a lot easier to integrate yourself with the local people. So anyway, let us know what you think, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.